On today's show, could Deadpool 2 be the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time? We will talk to one of the stars, Louis Tan, in studio today, and I get to use my extra white guy telemarketer voice for a segment. Movie Time starts right now. That was almost I went like, I got from telemarketer into full announcer voice.
Yeah, it went like the 3 octaves up to that level. It landed there.
Well, I am thrilled to welcome back in my regular voice, Markeia McCarty, Coy Jandreau joining us for the very first time on Movie Talk. And as I teased up top, one of the stars of the new film Deadpool 2, Louis Tan joining us. Louis, thank you so much for being here, my man. Are you excited that you could be in one of the highest grossing R-rated movies of all time?
I mean, yeah, when you put it like that. I mean, no, I'm just excited that everybody's, responding so well to the film, really, yeah.
I mean, the previews opened last night, and what's funny is that, like, I imagine that you are kind of on pins and needles wanting to see what the box office results are, but more importantly, have you been to a screening yet? Just like a regular, normal, at-a-theater screening? Are you going to sneak in any this weekend, sit in the back, and then just be like, all right, I just got to see how these scenes play out?
Yes, and yes. I saw one at Fox, and I went to the premiere in New York, which was absolutely mental. I think Marvel fans obviously are the best fans in the world, but Deadpool Marvel fans are like, they are just on a different planet. So yeah, it was really intense for me. It was overwhelming, and but I had a great time. It was an incredible experience. It was a surreal experience. So I've seen it twice, and yes, I will do a little sneak in a movie theater and watch it this weekend.
Nice.
Well, yeah, you mentioned the Deadpool fans are a little crazy. There's one. We had to keep you separated from Coy because Coy.
What do you mean?
Look at his shirt. I love the shirt.
I just
Custom Deadpool shirt.
It's like legit. Like, not only is it Deadpool, they're like legit movies.
But it's also like fashionable. Like it's not. Yeah.
And like we've reached a point in society where like wearing a Deadpool shirt isn't like that guy's in a like we did it. The Deadpool fans won.
Yes.
We landed here.
Well, if Deadpool is one of the movies that set the precedent for, hey, we can do whatever we want with an R-rated movie. We can take it to this extreme. We take a normal comic book movie that are usually for everybody, for kids as well, and we're going to put a lot of bad words and a lot of violence in there. Wait until we get to our first official topic here today. That would be the trailer for Happytime Murders, which takes what Deadpool said and takes it to a whole other ridiculously raunchy level because you have Muppets and humans, and they're doing a lot of bad things together. Right from the get-go, this trailer lets you know that we are not on Sesame Street. We are not in Muppet Babies. This is a world where Muppets are going to do things like smoke crack and offer sexual services for money, and they maybe try to solve murders in the meantime. Melissa McCarthy stars in the movie. It is directed by Brian Henson, and Lewis, when we were watching the trailer right before the show started, you saw the trailer and you're like, who directed this? It's Jim Henson's kid.
Yes, it seems there's a lot of things from his childhood that he was holding in that he's now releasing into the world in this form of a movie. So yeah, that was an awkward trailer to watch. Yeah, it made me uncomfortable.
Funny.
See what you did, Ryan? Ryan, you did this.
It's great, Coy, because like you see like the puppets and they set you up very well for like, hey, what kind of world are we getting into here? And then you see the first line of dialogue and it's all right, well, I think this could be like what Sausage Party was a couple years ago, where you have an animated movie and it's like, well, this is just for kids, right? And then no, it's just for adults.
For me, this is a post Deadpool Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This is like what this generation, like, how do we get oh, that's how you go escalation. You have the third act of the trailer be some interesting use of sunscreen lotion. Like, that was it is almost traumatic to watch with like people around you, and you're wondering how kids are going to cope. Like, when this enters their like brain, if they watch this in a theater, that's going to, parents bring kids to R-rated movies. This is going to happen, and it's going to be how many walkouts the first 10 minutes in. I can't wait to see that.
Well, that's why I bring up Sausage Party, Mark, is because like there were kids that went to go see that movie, or parents got their kids in just because they don't look at the little rating of the movie that's right in the corner of the poster, and they just buy tickets, and the usher, look, I used to be an usher at a movie theater, okay? I was making $6.50 an hour. It's not my job to point out, hey, are you sure you want to take your kid? I kind of want to be a fly on the wall and watch it happen. Do you think the same thing's going to happen with Happytime Murders, or people are at least going to know what they're getting in for with this?
I think there are going to be a lot of people that don't realize until they're actually in the theater, and I'm living for that moment. Because that's okay. Because I'm one of those people. I love mascot humor. I love anything with puppets, and like things like South Park and having people saying inappropriate things. It completely does it for me. That's one of those buttons. And then watching this particular trailer, I mean, yeah, they've got my money 3 times.
Yeah.
That's happening.
I think like from being part of the Deadpool and seeing all their crazy marketing campaigns, which I think is some of the best in the game. I think a good promotional material for this would be just like filming reactions of the audience members that didn't know, and just release the reactions.
The blacklight camera in the front, just like, oh god.
Yeah, just the mom and some some kids. Mom, I want to see the Muppet movie.
I will
Which
never
Muppet movie? Okay.
look at Silly String the same way again.
The line "rotten cotton" got me every time, because that is this beautiful tagline for what this is. And Brian Henson, you're right. Like that felt like he was jealous of this childhood. Like he loves the puppets more than me. You'll see, Dad.
Right, you'll see Dad one day. He's just sketching in his notebook when he's young. Just watch.
He's like 16. He's like, and that dick joke's gonna be great.
And the movie comes out in August, and if you work at a local theater chain, get your gift cards ready because you may be giving them to a few families. I think that if you just boil down this movie to what it actually is, which is a raunchy comedy, it looks hilarious too. I mean, that's the fun part about this. After you get past all the people who may or may not know what they're getting in for, I know what I'm getting in for. I love laughing, especially at stuff like this that feels a little dirty, feels a little gross. But the movie Markeia really looks funny.
Yeah, no, this is how I love Melissa McCarthy right here, where she's raunchy, but her as a cop, I loved The Spy, and I even loved her in Tammy, if I'm going to be completely honest about it. I think that was one of the movies. It was her and her husband teamed up that I actually really enjoyed.
Her and Ben Falcone, yeah, they also teamed up for The Boss, which was hilarious for 45 minutes in my opinion, and then it went off the rails. A lot of people didn't respond to the movies that she teams up with Falcone as much as some of the other stuff that she's done, and this looks like maybe a return to form for those people.
Yeah, it's a buddy cop movie that involves a universe that has puppets, really foul-mouthed puppets. This movie was made for me.
That's the one genre I want to come back. If Buddy Cop can come back, I'll be if superheroes and Buddy Cop can run the cinema, I'll be like a Lethal Weapon and Deadpool are at once, retiring.
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting fight choreography in this. So I can't wait to see that.
Rings and fights and guns and it's going to be great. The third act's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, like I said, the movie comes out in August, and I'm now very excited about Happytime Murders. It was always a rite of passage if you were a celebrity to be involved with the Muppets somehow, and so to see people, like Joel McHale and Melissa McCarthy, Maya Rudolph, amongst others, being in this movie, it looks like they had a whole lot of fun, and hopefully audiences will feel the same way once the movie hits. Well, our next story is about a guy you may have heard of named Ulysses S. Grant. If it's not ringing a bell, open your wallet. Do you have any $50 bills? That dude. They're making a movie about him. He was the commanding general during the Civil War and went on to become president of the United States, the 18th president of the United States. I grew up in Virginia. They teach us this kind of stuff. And now we may have a new movie in the works about his life, directed by some other guy named Steven Spielberg. He has a few $50 bills in his wallet, and it might star Leonardo DiCaprio. He has a few $50 bills in his wallet. The question with this movie is not whether it's going to happen, because I think it's very interesting subject matter. Steven Spielberg has proven himself to be a buff on a number of different war fronts, particularly the Civil War recently, making the movie Lincoln. So now the guy who Lincoln was commanding in the Civil War could have his own biopic. The question is, when is this movie going to get made? Because if Steven Spielberg is directing it, you go to his IMDb. He's got some stuff lined up. He has Indiana Jones 5. He has West Side Story, perhaps the DC movie Black Hawk. There's a number of projects on his docket. Markeia, you hear this story. When do you think we should get this one in the running? We know it's not going to be before Indy 5 or West Side Story. Right. Would you want to see this one first, or do you want to see him take a stab at a DC movie?
I want to see this one first, only because it is extremely relevant in the times right now. I think that this is not only socially responsible to do this right now, but it is so relevant. Are you kidding me? I mean, it all depends on what they actually decide to focus on. Are they going to focus on Civil War? Are we going to get the Battle of Shiloh? Are we going to get, the surrender at Appomattox? Or are they going to go the other route where we actually have radical Republicans? Back when, that meant, hey, slavery's bad. We have no compromise on having slavery continue or any of its aspects of it. Having that, which Grant are we going to see? Are they going to put it right through for everything? I mean, it's incredibly, I love that the Beard is doing this, because I think that he would be the amazing director to do this. And then DiCaprio already has the Beard, already fit for it.
I was going to say, if we're calling Spielberg the beard, I mean, the ultimate beard template set by Grant. I mean, I know Grant did a lot of great things for this country. One of the best ones was show James Harden, hey, this is what a beard is, so get ready to ball. You hear that Spielberg is going to be going back to, maybe not his roots, but something that certainly has been a good well for him, and that is making a biopic about somebody who actually existed in history. Like Markeia says, is this something that you want to see kind of get fast-tracked when it comes to Steven Spielberg working on this project?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's the master of this type of film, and I think him and Leo would be a amazing match. And I think, this says Oscar to me all over it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be a classic Spielberg film. I think he's perfect for it, yeah.
Yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio, it's still kind of sketchy on whether he would actually be the one playing Ulysses S. Grant. Right now, he's involved as a producer, and you hear Leo, you think about a movie like The Revenant, as Markeia had brought up, and it's like, yeah, he could probably pull that role off pretty well. I mean, the transition of being a commanding general and being in your element in wartime to leading a country through a restoration or through ending slavery, it's a lot of things you could tackle in there, Coy.
I feel like this is a made-for biopic situation. Like, you hear that log line, you're like, well, Oscar, and obviously a great, like, you can see the campaign, and the movie doesn't have a frame shot yet. So I love that there's such a rich history. There's a lot of things people don't know if they didn't go to school in Virginia, and they really have, like, a potential to show people what the American history can be in an entertaining way. Like, I'm excited for this to be a movie that hasn't been shot yet to be played on the VCR that gets wheeled in for kids in 5th grade, because this is important. And it'll be a 3-hour epic where you get to experience, like, a very important time in our history that hasn't really been shown. I loved Lincoln because it showed the other side, even with that crazy voice. I'm excited to see what they can do and to actually give some action to the historical, like, and then he did good things. So this will be the great way to do that and educate. I think movies need to have a moral compass, and this definitely would.
Is it really educate, or is it what you brought up before, where it's like, hey, kids, Mr. Jandreau is hungover today, so we're gonna.
But those were the best days. Those were the best days in history class, right? Yeah, like when you saw the movie screen, you were like, oh, good.
You like lifted up the desk, like, here we are.
Tell me if anyone can top this. In our history class one time, our teacher, he wasn't feeling it. And we were learning about World War II. And so he said, look, we're going to watch a World War II movie. We have a number of selections to go from. What do you guys want to do? So we did a vote, and I nominated Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I was like, look, technically, we're going against Nazis. We're trying to stop World War II from starting. We're trying to stop the Nazis from coming to power, the Ark of the Covenant. I got Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
That's why he's in the position he's in today.
There you go.
Talked his way into that movie, talked his way into this situation.
Nice.
Hey, a little bit of blackmail. Never hurt anybody.
My father worked on that film, actually.
Yeah?
On Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
Really?
My father was part of the fight choreography team on that film.
That's amazing.
That's great.
So that's
it's one
way
of the
back when.
best ones out of Indiana Jones franchise. So
that's a classic amongst classics. That's incredible.
It's interesting. No, was your dad on the fight choreography team the day that Harrison Ford showed up and he's like, I'm not doing the sword thing. I'm just going to take the gun out of my back. Yeah, because I mean, it's a famous story. Harrison
From
Ford.
what I understand, that was a improvisation because they didn't have time to finish the scene. And Harrison Ford was like, well, why don't we just do this and make up for it? And it turned out to be like a classic piece. So
excellent.
Right.
It worked out so well because
Yeah.
it fit inside the humor of what was Indiana Jones.
it did.
Anyway.
It did.
That's the official story. I think some Imodium AD might have been involved in Harrison Ford's tummy during that. Well, we're going to move on to our next story, and that involves a movie that is set for release next summer. Cowboy Ninja Viking, starring Chris Pratt as somebody who has a multiple personality complex. In the future, they're going to use these kind of people to use all their personalities to fight bad guys all across time and space. So the movie sounds like a great summer blockbuster. It's opening in June of 2019. There's one problem. We haven't really finished the script or shot it yet, but we now have writers in place. We have a room. We're going to throw a bunch of writers in there. So we are getting writers. Dan Mazeau, the writer of Wrath of the Titans, and Ryan Engel, who worked on The Commuter and Nonstop, as well as the recent release Rampage. They're hired to work together on Cowboy Ninja Viking. Now, they haven't collaborated a whole lot in the past. Michelle McLaren is the director of this movie, but according to The Hollywood Reporter, the science behind this pairing is that, look, we have two minds that are good at doing big movies. We're going to throw them together, and we're going to see what we get, because they need to start shooting this movie if they want to hit their release date. Coy, I hear Wrath of the Titans, and it doesn't really get me out of bed in the morning. I hear The Commuter Nonstop, and I'm like, I kind of like Taken better. I did like Rampage and where some of those story beats went. We get these two minds together. Do we have enough time to get a workable script for Chris Pratt and company to shoot?
For me, the best part of this is that it's a multiple personality situation, so throwing writers at it feels very, very like, what if he thinks this way? Well, he can also think this way. You write that page, I'll write this page. Go. Like,
You do the Viking stuff, I'll be the cowboy.
I'll be ninja, you be warrior. So for me, it kind of like it does work. I'm very optimistic about this film. To me, this is as close to Moon Knight as we've gotten yet. I love the idea of that being like, this personality does this does this, and Moon Knight's one of my boys. So if you got Chris Pratt in a comedy version of that with Michelle McLaren, like I've been wanting Michelle McLaren to direct a movie forever. So it's almost like the other pieces work so well. I'm not worried about the writers because I feel like the writers were hired that someone trusted them. So if someone trusted them plus add these pieces, I'm all in.
Yeah, Markeia, what's your read on this situation that we have a project that has been in the works? I mean, I remember reporting on this like a couple of years ago that this was announced and Chris Pratt was attached to star. So why are we this far down the process without having a shootable script in place? Is this by design, or is this kind of a, we really are behind the eight ball here?
I think what it probably boils down to is maybe because it's based on not such an incredibly popular property like that would be Marvel or DC. I mean, it's Image Comics. Cowboy Ninja, was it
Vikings,
yes, Cowboy Ninja Viking. And with dealing with triplets, sending in a multi-personal person salary assassins after other assassins. I think maybe it was probably more of a difficult sell for Chris Pratt. I see this as his Deadpool, I see this as his Gambit, kind of a thing. So he's been behind the eight ball with this for a long time. I think it's been studio involvement that hasn't really gotten it. Something that makes me super excited about it, anybody that's been in the improv, Billy Merritt's theory of improv, it has robot ninja pirate. So, because that's who you are in improv. You're either a pirate, a robot, or you're a ninja fixing things and So I'm really, really excited how Chris Pratt is going to like embody that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this movie to me. I like the idea that they have more writers coming in. I mean, maybe it's that they needed more help with the action sequences. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like an entire new first draft, but I think maybe they're just going to take those, meld them together, and give us something glorious.
Yeah, Lewis, I mean, you would think that Michelle McLaren, the director of this movie, has the vision that she wants to take with Cowboy Ninja Viking. Just when you hear about a movie like this and you hear that Chris Pratt is attached to star, as an actor, what's your read on the movie? Is it something that you're really excited about seeing? Do you think it's going to be one of the bigger blockbusters of next summer?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's got blockbuster written all over it. I've been hearing about this project for a while now, and I think from what I understand, it was just being moved around directors and writers, and they were trying to find its home. Because I heard about this probably like a year ago when they were asking, about different actors for it. So to my own agents. So yeah, I mean, I think it's got blockbuster written all over it. I think it's got probably get some insane action choreography going on, and there's so much creative stuff that you can do with all these type of scenes. And yeah, I think Chris Pratt is perfect for this, so it's a good vehicle for him. Like you said, it could be his Deadpool. I agree. Yeah,
Chris Pratt is just one of those guys that, like, I mean, obviously you see the Guardians of the Galaxy movies or Infinity War, and he's just got such a likable screen presence. I even caught Passengers the other day, and Passengers, it's actually a better movie to watch in reverse, because if you started at the end and then it's like you're punishing Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence for making you watch this movie, so you make them go to sleep for 90 years. Coy, if you think Chris Pratt is he the right guy to be the star of a movie like this? Do you agree with Lewis and Markeia that this could be his Deadpool, albeit a PG-13 Deadpool?
I think this is like Burt Macklin and Andy Dwyer, two sides of that magical coin. This is his Burt Macklin in cinema. I love the idea of Chris Pratt being an action star with the sense of humor. For me, this is much more him than Jurassic World. For me, I like throwing on the vest and the mustache never quite landed for me, but playing a guy that's a cowboy, ninja, Viking is what Chris Pratt would dream up. If Chris Pratt's sitting at home doodling about being a superhero, it's these three things. Like, there's no version of me that thinks that Chris Pratt hasn't had these dreams. So for Michelle McLaren, the way I see it is her directing it almost like the Animatrix, where there's going to be different visual styles, different action sensibilities, different ways. When he's in a different character, it embodies a different action technique. Because that movie is what every kid dreams when he's a kid. I want to be every superhero. And Chris Pratt is so likable, so endearing, so everyman, you buy it.
Right.
Yeah, I can say this, the bed sheets as far as a promotional material for Cowboy Ninja Viking, Cowboys, Vikings, and Ninjas in one race car bed. That is every kid's dream. Markeia, I know you do a lot of improv. Coy, I'm not sure about you or Lewis as far as your training goes. Did y'all do improv, and do you guys ever do the robot, what is it? The
Robot Ninja Pirate.
And because I know that you actively perform improv, is that something that you still practice? Have you been a robot maybe already today?
Well, a robot does the dirty part of the scene, like the who, what, where, why is Gamora part of the scene is what, the robot does. A really great improviser embodies all three, which is another reason why, to piggyback off of what Coy was saying, because that's what you need to do. You need to be able to, like in a game, is kind of like turn on those meters whenever it's necessary, like in improv work. I personally enjoy being a ninja the most and, the swashbuckling adventure to start off the scene, because I'll stand back and be like, let me do a lay-on right here. Oh, it's time to edit this. Let me get the beat going with that. Like a lay-on is just when you layer something else on the scene. Like be like, oh, this is happening. And then like, oh, and this alarm clock is set to go off in 30 seconds. And whatever that alarm clock means, the rest of you play with.
That's funny. I've never heard of that before. It sounds like a good drinking game, though.
Actually,
Ninja pirate. I'm already like a ninja pirate, so I got to do the robot thing. I've done pirate. I've done pirate on Pirates of the Caribbean. I've done ninja. That's just my daily life. And then, so I got to do the robot thing. That sounds fun.
You're literally one away.
I'm just one away from the
Trinity.
trifecta. What happens to me after I do that? Like, what happens after I hit the robot and I get all three? Does like
you go Super Saiyan?
Okay, yeah.
It's improv.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Ready Player One. You get like an Easter egg and you get welcomed into a virtual reality kingdom. I mean, hearing that explanation, that's why I gravitated towards stand-up, because I just want to go on stage and tell dick jokes. I can't think about like, I'm going to be a robot today. But you obviously have to prepare for stuff like this as an actor, because you're going into auditions. You may not even know what you're auditioning for. So as we transition into your movie that you're here to talk about today, with Deadpool 2, did you know what you were getting into the first time you walked into that room to be seen, or was it kind of a surprise, like a mysterious project that you were being seen
No,
for?
it was a mysterious secret project up until the very, very end. I mean, pretty much it was, I didn't know. I knew it was Deadpool. That's all I knew. I didn't know it was X-Force. I didn't know the character I was playing. David Leitch, incredible, director, came from a stunt background, used to double Brad Pitt, and then, moved on to do fight choreography, and then Atomic Blonde and John Wick with Chaz Stahelski, and now Deadpool. So, and now a bunch of other things. So, and he's the perfect candidate for this. But no, he's been my friend for a while, and he's seen my work, and he's like, listen, Lewis, I have a project for you. I have an idea for a character that you might be able to play. He's like, you can't say anything to anyone or else I'm showing up at your house and it's a wrap. And that's not the type of dude you want to mess with. So I was just like, yes, sir. I couldn't really hear him at the time, and my phone was dying. I'm like, yes, whatever you need, I'm there. Just let me know. So that's kind of how it started. And I didn't really know that I was playing Shatterstar on the contract that I signed. Even like my agency contract, it said asteroid on Love Machine. So
I would put ink on that contract too.
Well,
I mean, I was game, but my my agents were like, "What are you signing?" I'm like, "Eh." But no. So it was great. But then once I got there, even the script when you got there was kind of like delivered to you on the day, that someone just like sketched out on the, on a piece of paper, and they're like, here, memorize this. You have 10 seconds. Okay, thanks. I mean, it wasn't as crazy as that, but yeah, there was a lot of secrecy around it. So it was a fun project to work on, obviously, but you just kind of got to just cowboy up and go for it at that point. I mean, to be involved with that type of level with those type of, creative artists like Ryan, who I think is a genius. I mean, it's a no-brainer, of course.
Yeah, Markeia, I know that you've had extensive experience doing karaoke with Lewis, but then obviously he's also in the Deadpool movie, so I'm sure you have a lot of different kind of questions, and just because you've seen the movie, it's like that you want to ask him. We don't want to give away any spoilers here, but clearly the floor is yours. Okay,
no spoilers with it. We've seen Deadpool 2, but we're not gonna do.
Coy has seen it 17 times.
Yes.
I'm watching it right now.
I think what would be really behoove people is just to give a little bit background on Shatterstar, like in the comics. I know that you've read up on him, and just like maybe give people a taste of what he is in the comics, so then they're a little bit more informed when they go into Deadpool 2.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, either people know about Shatterstar's very complex backstory, or they have no idea and they just think he looks cool, and he has swords and he has a crazy outfit. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, when I heard about the role, I was at Comic-Con for Iron Fist, and I was just getting every Shatterstar X-Force comic possible, filled my backpack with them, had this like secret little time bomb in there, and just couldn't say anything to anybody. Did a panel, and they were like, "So Louis, what do you have next coming up?" And I have like a backpack full of Shatterstar comics, and I was just like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what's coming. But secretly, I was like, but no, yeah. So basically, Shatterstar he's a genetically engineered warrior from the planet Mojo world. He's trapped by this tyrant Mojo, who's enslaved him in this kind of gladiator warrior zone where he's just fighting every day, and all he knows is killing and death. And he joins a rebel group and escapes and travels back in time and to find the X-Men to help him overthrow Mojo. In the meantime, he runs into Cable, and that's kind of where his story begins. But there's a lot more to it. I mean, he ends up being like his own grandfather. He like merged bodies with another dude named Benjamin Russell. He's a very interesting character. You have to have like a PhD in Shatterstar to really understand. I have maps drawn out and diagrams in my house to like get it straight. But yeah, that's his general rundown.
Yeah,
Okay.
Coy, I imagine if you were teaching a class in Shatterstar Lore, it would not be one of those classes.
I could see Cole as I was answering. He was like, you forgot this?
Well,
you forgot this? Here it comes.
Oh my god!
What really impressed me, so I saw Deadpool. There was 2 press screenings on Monday. I was at both. So I saw it at 10:30 in the morning, and then I went back to the 7 o'clock show. And what I really appreciated the second viewing was the first time I was just so overwhelmed, because Deadpool is a character that, since I could conceive characters, was my boy. Like, I love that character so much. The movie is like a love letter to both Deadpool and Rob Liefeld. Like, watching it the second time, I realized that all the characters that are introduced are such life. Like, you're like one of the pouchiest characters in the world.
Yeah.
Like, that character is of his mind. And the way those characters land is just so, like, trust us. And when you read the script, did you feel that the audience would be like, okay, this is the world we're living in, let's go to Liefeld land, this is what's going to be? Did you feel that when you're reading the script, how much it was like this universe?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you get the vibe from the script, but I mean, it's a lot of pressure because there's a lot of things that go through your head when, you get a script of that caliber, but you just got to trust. Rhett Reese and Ryan and Dave and all these guys, they know what they're doing, and they've fine-tuned this film up until the very last minute of shooting. You know what I mean? He's changed things around. They do a ton of improv on set, so like you never really know what you're getting into. So I don't put that pressure on myself. I kind of just, I do my job, I do my research, and I embrace the character as much as I can and try to embody him, and then hope for the best, But I mean, those guys, you're in good hands with them. So yeah, it was a pleasure to work with them.
I mean, yeah. You look at it. You look at a movie like Deadpool 2, and you say, okay, well, it's we know it's going to be a big summertime movie. We know it's going to be one of these blockbusters, and then you start thinking about the R rating, that legendary R rating that Deadpool got, and that then Logan got, and so now Deadpool 2 being an R-rated movie, it had its preview screenings last night on Thursday, and it just edged out the book club by about $18 million, $18.6 million in opening previews. That is $5 million clear of the record for an R-rated preview screening. And I know, as somebody in the movie, don't want to get into the dollars and cents of it too much, but as much as I'm sure Deadpool respects Ulysses S. Grant, this movie is raking in Benjamins, okay? This is going right for Benjamin Franklin. So does that prospect ever enter your head at all, that you could be in the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time?
No, to be honest with you, I didn't think about it. And I think the original record was also set by Deadpool, the 13 million.
That was by Deadpool.
So they're just breaking their own records here.
Nice.
No, I mean,
Taking out Jesus.
to be honest,
Passion of the Christ, it's 2004, yeah.
that's a funny joke in the thing too. But anyway, I mean, yeah, it's I never really think of it like that. I mean, I don't, like you said, it's the numbers to me mean the fans enjoyed it. And like I was getting messages saying, "Hey, we love the film. We're going to see it again." And I never see movies opening weekend twice. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. There's so many jokes that you missed the first time. It's so fast paced. So yeah, it's one of those films that you can watch twice and really enjoy it. And to me, the numbers just represent that people really like it, and that's more important to me. And anyway, I'm not getting any of those. I'm not. It means nothing for me, but I'm happy. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for Fox. I'm happy for Ryan. I mean, they deserve it. If you know the backstory about how Ryan got this film made, it's incredible, and how hard he worked to get it done. It's mind blowing, and it sat on a shelf for years. And so yeah, I'm really happy for them, and I think their marketing team are geniuses, and they're so creative with it. I mean, that was almost just as much fun as watching the movie, as seeing how they did the marketing stuff and seeing Ryan fly to Korea and do karaoke in a unicorn mask. I mean, oh my God. That to me is like, it's just as good. So yeah, I'm really, really happy for them, and I'm proud of the work.
Ryan Reynolds recently was interviewed, and he was asked about like another Deadpool, and like Deadpool 3, and he said, well, I think that from now on Deadpool might be going into the larger realm of X-Force movies. Have you allowed your mind to wander to that point at all? That you could have an X-Force movie.
Yeah,
X-Force.
That's what we're all. Well, I mean, Drew Goddard from Cabin in the Woods, great, amazing film. Huge fan of the movie. And no, but seriously, I am. And the thing is, I think, they're moving forward with the X-Force film, and there's so many different avenues that they can go with that. I was talking to Terry Crews on the red carpet about it, and Terry's like, we got to do the X-Force film.
Yeah.
So, if Terry's in, I know Bill is in. We had a great chemistry on set, so hopefully they bring those characters in, and some new ones as well. So yeah, I mean, the thought has definitely crossed my mind. I've lost a little bit of sleep over it, but... Of course, I'm in with the X-Force movie. I think everyone wants to see that,
And we definitely want to see you master the final phase of your training, which is being a robot. We think you can do it. And if I have one favor to beg of you, this weekend when you sneak into a couple of the screenings at Deadpool, you're going to see a young man in the front row. And he's going to be named Coy Jandreau. Just say hi to him afterwards. Maybe take a selfie, but just make him feel special. The kid really loves his Deadpool too. So
every single show.
On behalf of everybody here and everybody here at Collider, you're always welcome in our little den here at Lewiston. Thank you so much for joining us, my man. Really appreciate the time.
You guys are awesome and hilarious.
I want to remind you all at the end of this show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. And right now, here's a special promo for our upcoming live Schmodown event on June 2nd.
Shirewolves owe us lunch money, and we will be taking it at that event. Whitwer, the system, the clock, Harloff, none of these guys can get in front of my destiny. Let's get ready to Schmodown!
All right, as we say goodbye to Lewis here in the studio, make sure you guys check out Deadpool 2 is in wide release now, $18.6 million opening weekend. Now, when you go see Deadpool 2, you're probably going to see some trailers. One of those trailers could be the new one for Sorry to Bother You, which is just a movie that looks hilarious. It looks like such a different offbeat movie that we got from the first trailer that came out 2 months ago. The new trailer just hit, and Markeia, I'll go to you on this first because you're having an easier time recovering from meeting Lewis than Coy is, who we're currently hosing down in the back hall. There he is. Okay, we're going to get him back down there within a minute. Markeia, the new Red Band trailer for Sorry to Bother You.
Yes.
What did this do to your expectations for this movie?
Oh my God, they actually raised it. Okay, so my volume was at 9 with this. It raised it to 11. I am so looking forward to this. I love that it's Boots Riley, that this is basically the first thing that he's doing as part of his filmography. And it looks so iconic already. And then the cast list that they have for this with Tessa Thompson, with Danny Glover, not Donald Glover, Danny Glover, where you have David Cross as the white man's voice, and it's just all the layers with this are so on point. I mean, this can speak to everybody from who's had, really crappy telemarketer job or just really crappy, anything that has to do with commission kind of a job to, it's got layers with like, have you lived in someone's garage before? I haven't, but I get it, that kind of a thing. And then what it does like with community and then also with POC community, it hits it. And I love this, and I wish it was out right now that I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought I would describe a movie as a cross between Fences and Office Space, but that's what this feels like, because when you read Fences, the play, you have all these kind of elements of assimilationism and what you should be doing as far as who you are versus who you are represented to be at your job or your place of work. And then you also just have this Office Space mentality where it's like, this is your job, and you have to go through all these crazy hoops that you don't want to jump through. Coy, we've all had jobs like this, so even if you never telemarketed, you're not like this character, there's going to be something that everybody can relate to in Sorry to Bother You. That's what really, I think, is striking about this trailer to me.
That's what was so impressive for me, is that it struck so many chords for so many different people, and then the cast really like nails home different archetypes. Like Danny Glover, I mean, he's been too old for this shit, and I love that man. Like, I am a deep Danny Glover fan, and he still feels too old for it. And I love that, like, you just see him and he's so like, I am done, and that's perfect because that's a character he plays well. Plus, you get like, the day we discovered Armie Hammer was funny, like cinema was better. Like the day we were like, look at this perfect genetic human specimen, but also hilarious. So like the juxtaposition of that, and then Lakeith Stanfield from Atlanta. Like as soon as he showed up in Atlanta, I was like, oh, that guy's a movie star. Like his first episode on Atlanta, like when he's talking about cutting that tree and he's like, oh, maybe later means no, man. Like this character is McConaughey and Dazed and Confused for this generation, and he should be a movie star. He's gonna be huge. And then Tessa Thompson, like this cast is, to quote Dan Murrell, a murderer's row of successful talent. And this is my most anticipated indie of the year, hard stop. In January, I called this one of my top 10, and now that the new trailer's out, it looks like Michelle Gondry directed an episode of Atlanta and had a $100 million budget, but shot it for 20. I cannot wait for this movie.
Yeah, I have some experience in telemarketing. Actually, it was one of the first jobs I had when I moved to LA, is because you don't just move out here and they give you a job doing stand-up. They don't say, hey, there's a sitcom store, swing by and pick out whatever one you want. So I telemarketed, and I got to the point where I was telemarketing because I got hired as an employee at the Comedy Store. They'll hire young comics before they're paid regulars to just, answer the phones and park cars and sell tickets, that kind of stuff. So I was doing that during the night. At the morning, I had my 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift telemarketing, and I just remember it taking all the joy that I ever could have felt of talking on the phone totally out. It was one thing where you just picked up the phone and dialed the number, like that was tough enough. And then we got this new fancy automated call system where you had the headset on. So as soon as that person hung up, it would dial the next number, and so you had no control over it. So like I went from like doing 30 calls a day to like 100 calls a day. It's such a soul-sucking job. So to see that represented in cinema, I'm very happy and proud of the team, and sorry to bother you, because like I said before, and I think like the crew here agrees, this is a movie that when you see the trailer, you're going to find little pieces of your own life wherever you come from, whatever your background is. You're going to see some of you in this trailer, and I think that's a rare thing in movies, and I think that's why this could be one of the movies that stands out this summer blockbuster season. A bit of breaking news here real quick. This comes from Justin Kroll at Variety, is that Bradley Cooper is in talks to star with Clint Eastwood in The Mule. Clint Eastwood is also directing this movie. The Mule, I'm going to give you all the premise. You tell me what you think. It follows the 90-year-old drug courier Leo Sharp, an award-winning horticulturist and decorated World War II veteran known for his prized dailies, who gets busted for running drugs for a Mexican cartel, and he gets sent to prison. He was transporting, this is a true story, $3 million worth of coke through Michigan in his beat-up pickup truck when he was arrested by the DEA. So Eastwood will be playing the drug runner, Brad Cooper playing the DEA agent who busts him. I just told you all this story here for the first time. Coy, what's your read on it?
My first reaction is, the two roles they were born to play, because those are the archetypes, those both land so well. Clint Eastwood's been playing a 90-year-old guy that might be running drugs since I can think of Clint Eastwood. That's perfect. And then Bradley Cooper, I love when he plays like the straight, on edge, I'm too done with this job, like cop. Like he's not cop on the edge, he's cop right before the edge, and I really love that archetype because he's so straight-laced, but he's so likable. You always buy Bradley Cooper. And then Clint Eastwood acting, like it somehow still always works. You still want Clint Eastwood in more things. So this sounds like, plus the Tom Cruise movie that just came out, there's this movement of based on a true story drug running. I think after Breaking Bad, they're like, let's make every drug running story. Let's make another one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you go from The Wire to Breaking Bad, and then it's like, well, we like watching drugs. We we just have this fetish in our culture right now for true crime, and if the true crime involves running drugs and some hijinks on the way, I think audiences are going to be up for it, Markeia.
Yeah, I'm up for it. This is actually the first time that I'm hearing about the property. But yes, a 90-year-old drug mule played by Clint Eastwood. I mean, that's like a no-brainer kind of a thing. He would be the perfect casting for that. And then Bradley Cooper like broke my heart as Rocket Raccoon. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him be a straight-laced DEA agent, so I don't have to, hear "I am Groot" resonating in my head whenever I see him. But I liked him in Silver Linings Playbook. Bradley Cooper. So this works. I'm already wondering, like, how does this end? How do you arrest a senior citizen that's just trying to make ends meet in a spectacular way? So yeah,
he was so good in American Hustle. Is this like this type of part? Yeah. Like American Hustle is a good segue into this world, and then Clint, I'm excited. Right?
Yeah, I hope that Clint Eastwood's character really like bends into that whole "I'm your elder" thing. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think if he acts like he did in Gran Torino, this isn't going to go well. But he's a little more amenable to the younger generation. Maybe he gets off with an easy, lenient sentence. I want to remind you guys that later on today, here on Collider Video, we already have a whole lot of Deadpool 2 content you can check out, and that now includes our spoiler-heavy review. So if you've seen the movie, if you're one of the people that paid $18.6 million to already see the movie, you can check out our spoiler review as well as an Ending Explained feature that we have, a Black Panther commentary hosted by Jay Washington and starring a number of our Collider luminaries is up on the channel as well right now. Later on today, the Schmodown singles title is on the line. Sam Levine takes on Clark Wolf. That is going to be a match not to miss. I also want to toss it over to Markeia and Coy to let us know the latest thing that they're working on. Where can all the kids find y'all before we go to live Twitter questions? Markeia.
Sure. I do a number of things. From this week, if you check out Geek and Sundry, I did Ask Your Black Geek Friend, and we had an amazing panel of professionals. Everything from professional MMA fighters like Angela Overkill Hill. And we also had Anjali Bamani. You know her from Alex Incorporated. You also know her as the voice of Symmetra on Overwatch. It's a beautiful panel. The entire theme of it was a seat at the table. I heartily recommend watching that show. And if you like RPGs, on Mondays I do this thing at Hyper RPG. It's a tragic horror RPG, and we basically get killed every 2 to 3 episodes. And that's 6 p.m. on Mondays, twitch.tv/hyperrpg. Have fun with me. And you can actually kill me too. So, yeah.
Part 10, Markeia goes to hell.
I know.
Coy Jandreau, where can the kids check you out?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coy Jandreau. I do my own channel on Instagram, basically trying to subvert Instagram's use and do 1-minute reviews since I like talking real fast. I actually did one about Sorry to Bother You a few weeks ago for the other trailer. And you can find me on Wednesday's Collider Heroes with Markeia and John Schnepp on this very network. And we do a show called Marvel Movie News, and there'll be a thing coming out very soon that's secret, but I can hint that it's on your phone, and I'll be all over the world doing it very soon, and I'm so stoked to finally talk about it, but NDAs are scary.
That was very good yes-anding by both of you. That's improv, kids. Well, if improv's a little too highfalutin for you, I do stand-up. And I thanks to all the Collider kids I saw at the Comedy Store last night. I'll be there tonight and tomorrow night as well. I go to New York on June 7th and 8th, and then Fairfield, Connecticut on June 9th. Might have a special Comic-Con announcement for y'all in a couple weeks, too. Stay tuned for that. You can get tickets for all this stuff at markellislive.com. We move on to live Twitter questions, and we got a good one to kick us off. It is from Bobby Brake, and it involves Deadpool 2. So obviously, without spoiling anything, here's the question. Do you think that people are going to be more drawn to Deadpool 2 for the jokes or for the action scenes? Ooh. So I will say I think that this movie is a comedy that features action in it. When Christian and I did our review on Schmoes, we mentioned that we disagree on this because he sees it more as an action movie that has a lot of comedy in it. I see this movie as a comedy that features action. What do you think the kids are going to like more?
I think it's going to be the comedy. I mean, I'm not saying anything about the action. The action is stellar, but I feel like it's a good foundation for this comedy to then be able to flourish. It's like a really great pedestal, but the comedy is the actual jewel that's in it. There's a lot of analogies I can use here, engagement rings or whatnot. But yeah, oh my God, the jokes in this movie and how the meta jokes, the meta humor is what I I particularly enjoy with this. I mean, for that alone, you watch it 2 times, and then you'll end up watching it a 3rd or 4th time because, you know, your friend's schedules didn't work out, and you're okay with watching it again. So yeah, for me, it's a comedy movie that has fantastic action in it.
So for Markeia, like diamonds, meta humor is forever. Coy Jandreau, you think it's more action or more comedy?
I'm gonna go with the political answer and say both. No, it's I think the physical humor is what works. I think I was actually talking to Lewis before the show about the fact that his martial arts background really helped the physicality of the characters. I think that like Ryan Reynolds doesn't get enough credit for the physical humor in the Deadpool suit. He's almost a mime at points. The broad-based humor, like he doesn't even need to speak, but then the jokes out louder is also funny. So I think Louis Tan being a martial artist and being a stunt guy really helped. I don't want to give any spoils for the movie, so I didn't want to talk about the character too much, but some of the physical stuff that his character does, it's so visually funny that it really brings that to the movie. So I think you need both, and I think that's why having this director who's a stunt coordinator make the comedy punch up is even better. So I think the comedy of the 2 writers with the grounding, the foundation of the action really make it work. So I think it's a comedy, but like a 60-40 split, real close.
Yeah, Lewis, an accomplished martial artist in addition to his acting ability. It's always the nice guys.
It's always,
Yeah.
It's always the guys that are like, I can hang out with this guy. Those are the ones that can kick your ass and kill you in 1 minute. It's never the tough guy, never the guy that's like trying to, it's the nice guys who, if you get in an altercation with them at a bar, if they don't look you in the eyes, they look at you right here, that means they're about to end you.
Oh my
Be
God.
careful, buy him a drink, apologize, and move on about your life. One more question from a fan favorite, Phil Fang Foom, and he says, what children's cartoon would make the best horror film? This is probably a no doubt inspired by Happytime Murders, where you have a children's premise in a very adult kind of movie. So a children's cartoon, which one makes the best horror movie? For him, he says Clifford the Big Red Dog could be the new Cujo. It's kind of like a Cujo mixed with Rampage. I like where you're going with that, Phil. For me, I will say that I always looked at Muppet Babies as kind of a horrific premise because you just have this evil nanny getting all these mutants together and locking them in a dungeon. But then I started thinking about Toy Story. Toy Story is basically already a horror movie. They actually took Chucky or Annabelle and they made it kid-friendly because these toys come to life when Andy's not around. Now, luckily, most of them don't use it for their own ill-gotten gains unless you're the Ned Beatty-voiced bear from Toy Story 3. Look out for purple teddy bears. So I'm going Toy Story. Which way y'all leaning?
Or unless you're Sid, because they came alive for
Right.
him. Ooh, but he
Also,
deserved it.
You
Yes,
at some
they
point would be
earned it.
playing with corpses because when they died, they would
Oh
just
my
be
God.
unanimated. So
Oh my
you would never
God.
know when they died. So when Woody passes away, he's just the corpse of a thing and he doesn't move, right?
Or how
so you're
about-
playing with the corpses of toys. at
I'm
some point.
Googling this right now.
Man.
It is apparently not cool to play with corpses, kids.
Yeah. Or how about if they never die? So it's a state of immortality.
Yeah, no matter
so
what, Toy Story
at a
is the
certain
hardest.
at a certain point, they just go insane. But mine is Care Bears. I loved
okay.
Care Bears as a kid, but just think about it. You have these little bears that are watching you from above all the time. And not only that, they can take you. They're about this high, but they can take you no matter what. And they're part of a gang. So like there's a posse of these like powerful little bears. And if you're doing bad, if they feel like you're doing bad, then you're going down. So if they turn that into a horror, I mean, it would hurt my heart. But kind of like a Care Bears meets Critters kind of a thing where they can scurry around and be anywhere. Ooh.
Yeah, I see Care Bears as kind of like a cult, you know, where like they just get you and like, no, we're all about peace and love. Look, I got a rainbow on my look, I got a heart on my yeah, come on in. Let's give us this pamphlet and you'll never be heard from again and your family's looking for you, Coy. You have any cartoons you think could be a good horror premise?
I got 2 quick ones. From childhood, Street Sharks. Street Sharks would be terrifying in real life because they are half shark, half man. They are broed out sharks with the bodies of muscle-bound men and the heads of sharks. It's like Sharknado from your nightmares, and I don't trust them. They'll turn into it any moment. Who knows what kind of gang initiation sharks would have? And then a modern one, Inside Out is terrifying. Imagine if your emotions became sentient little self-aware creatures that knew they were emotions, that couldn't control their own emotions. That's like being crazy twice. No, thank you.
You just blew my mind. And
Wow.
now
I totally forgot about, was it Street
Street
Sharks?
Sharks.
I totally
Yeah.
forgot about that. But yeah, no, that
One
is
modern, one
that is
classic,
horrifying.
terrifying.
They're huge.
yeah, Street Sharks, it's like the cast of Sharknado all got together in some crazy party, and it's like Ian Ziering and a shark hooked up, and the next thing you know, now we have a human shark. That's pretty scary stuff.
West
think
Side
about
Story meets Deep Blue Sea.
Inside Out, then yeah, Deep Blue Sea. It's a look, sharks are scary. Okay, kids, careful with sharks. And when you watch Inside Out, just remember, these are sentient emotions that are going to come to get you. And unfortunately, like Bing Bong, we're going to say goodbye. This is the end of Collider Movie Talk. Just for the way, we'll be back on Monday, 9 p.m. PST. I want to thank Markeia McCarty, Coy Jandreau, and a special thank you to Mr. Louis Tan. Check out his movie Deadpool 2 in theaters this weekend. For the cast and crew here, the wonderful crew that we have here day in, day out at Collider Video, I am Mark Ellis. Have a great weekend, kids. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.